Ayubowan, welcome to Tenna Talks. It's my first YouTube video and I thought I'll start at the very beginning. Gonna talk about the person who nurtured me and loved and still loves me unconditionally. She's my superhero and it's none other than my mother. Now, it goes without saying, our parents and our guardians impact our lives a lot. And this is more evident and pronounced in our formative years. So I thought I'll share 5 lessons my mother taught me when I was a kid. Lesson number 1: optimism and positive thinking. Now, this incident happened when I was about 10 years of age. It was early in the morning. I was about to leave home for college. Must be around 6:30 or 7 in the morning. I needed, I think, around 20 rupees, some money for something extracurricular. So I approached my mother and I asked her, "Amma, I don't have any money. Can I have 20 rupees?" To which my mother didn't necessarily say yes or no. She responded with a question. She asked me, "Puta, son, don't you have any money?" And I was in a rush. I had to leave home to catch the bus or the van transportation to get to school. But also I wanted the 20 rupees. I think that was my objective at that point. But I said, "Look, I must be having 2 or 3 rupees, but I need 20. To which she imparted some profound wisdom, which I think at that stage I didn't really understand. But now that I look back at that incident, I feel like that one moment has defined how I think of situations and how my mentality and how my approach towards life has changed. She told me, "Puta, you have 2 or 3 rupees. So what that means is you do have some money. Focus on what you have. Of course, know what you want and where you want to go, but don't start by saying you don't have anything. Don't start with a negative. Focus on what you have and then start building on it." So that's lesson number 1. Focus on what you have and then plan out on how you're going to reach where you want to go, rather than focusing on the negatives and saying that you don't have anything. Lesson number 2: helpfulness and kindness. I see my mother as an iron woman who has a heart that melts like butter. Even today, we were having a chat, my mother and I, about her lack of ability to say no to anyone who asks for assistance. I come from a middle income family, and growing up we didn't have a lot. However, my mother would not say no to anyone. I remember even those days, if someone asked for help, and some of her charitable activities have led to arguments between my parents as well. And I also remember now fondly, but not so those days, sometimes my favorite toys, sports equipment, clothes like t-shirts, jeans, shoes would go missing. And these are some of the things that I prized a lot, or they were precious to me as well. And to find out that my mom would have given it to someone who deserves it more than me, or probably has a need for those items more than me. And as a kid, I really didn't like it. But over time, I realized when I see the happiness in the faces of the people who received it, or that I see that they put it to better use, and they appreciate it a lot more than I would, I did understand the philosophy, or why she would help others and also give away certain stuff that we would have. And even to this day, uh, my mother continues her good work. She is 70 plus now, and within her limits, she still continues her charitable activities, whether it's helping someone out or cooking a meal for a person who is hungry, or even financial help in someone within my mother's limits. So, observing my mother's kindness and helpfulness from a very young age has taught me the value of helping others without expecting anything in return, and also that it shouldn't prevent you from helping others due to your own limitations. Lesson number 3: self confidence and self worth. At a very early age, my mother instilled in me that I can do anything I want and be anyone that I want to be. She not only told this to me, but also created opportunities as well as gave me responsibilities that would boost my self confidence. So, my mother was a career banker, and she created several bank accounts for me when I was little. These didn't have a lot of money, but the idea was to get me used to financial management and to understand the value of money and the habit of saving. Out of these accounts, there was a foreign currency account, a USD account. Again, didn't have a lot of money, but I was very proud of this account and the amount of dollars that I used to have. And it was my responsibility to interact with the banking officials, with the bank, understand the exchange rate. Every month, I looked forward to the day that we would visit the bank branch. I think it was the NRFC branch of Bank of Ceylon. So once a month we would visit the bank branch, and this was a time where there used to be bank books or pass books as they were called, and the bank teller would frank it and update the balance, and I would ask what the exchange rate was to a rupee to a USD. Also understand how much of interest I've gotten or how much the value has appreciated over that 1 month. So a lot of interaction for a very young kid. Later I found out that my mother has asked some of her banking colleagues to treat me as one of the regular or a usual banking client, and also to give me opportunities to ask further questions and to kind of tolerate some of my questioning as well, because this is a very small USD amount. Instances like that boost your self-confidence and your self-worth. Also, another instance, in my teens, my mother gave me a bank ATM card, and this was a novelty. I think this was when ATM cards were introduced. None of my friends had an ATM card, and I think we both agree, both my mother and I agree, this was an experiment that went bad. She might have put a nominal amount to the account that was attached or linked to the ATM card, and for me this was almost magic, and it was a bragging point to my friends. So I think within about a week I cleared all the money. I withdrew all the money and spent it on whatever we were spending on those days. As a teenager, it was like magic that I could access money and get it out whenever I wanted and treat my friends to snacks and other stuff. I distinctively remember how disappointed my mother was because of this, and that I felt as if I've let her down the trust that she had in me, I've let her down. So I made sure within about a year or two to restore the bank balance to what it was, by saving up on my allowances, doing extra chores. Even though this was an experiment that went bad, the whole experience taught me how to bounce back, and also to not let down people and the trust that they have in you. Yeah, and another kind of instance I remember, where my both my parents instilled self-confidence and self-worth in me was when it came to studies. I was never pressurized to study harder or to study more or to study well. There was a unspoken silent trust that my both my parents and my mother especially had in me. When I was doing my ordinary level exams, I remember my mother used to make refreshments so that I'll have something to keep me awake at night when I was studying. Obviously, I didn't study. I used to have the coffee and the snacks, the biscuits that she would have, or the sandwiches that she had made, and I'll sleep. And a lot of people thought that I will not do well in my exams, but till the very end, my parents trusted me to do well, and I think that helped me a lot to focus on my studies, and do well in my ordinary level exams. And I've done quite a lot of exams since then, and qualifications as well. And at each of those stages, I've felt my parents and my mother's silent trust in me to do well. And there have been other numerous occasions. Like I remember when I was about 14 years old, I was after rugby practices. I came home around 5 or 6, maybe around 6:30 in the evening, and my parents were having a quite a serious discussion. I can't remember what it was, but it was a big decision that they were making. And they called me into our hall, and they asked me to sit down and ask my opinion of this decision that they were making. And I can't remember whether they listened to me or what this situation was and what was the outcome of it. But I do remember, I still have that feeling, or remember that feeling that I had of self-worth, and the fact that they are listening to me and they value my opinion as a 14-year-old. I think giving kids and children that kind of self-worth, and not only telling them that they're valuable, but also giving them opportunities, and also following that up with your parents' actions, means a lot to kids, and it builds a lot of self-worth and self-confidence in kids. And I know for a fact the self-belief, the self-confidence, and the locus of control that I have stems from the opportunities and the reinforcement, as well as the behaviors that my mother inculcated in me at a very young age. Lesson number 4, hustle. Most people on appearance will not take my mother for a hustler or a go-getter. She doesn't have the self-centric, loud, ego-centered, in-your-face sort of a hustle. In contrast, she has a quiet, calm, and a firm, confident hustle. When my mother puts her mind into something, there's no stopping her or changing her mind. My mother had the opportunity to retire early from her banking career, which she took on, and so that she could focus a lot more on her charity work. However, after retirement, she was faced with a financial challenge which her pension couldn't kind of sustain. While she appreciated my offer to assist her on this instance, she wanted to manage this challenge on her own. And what she did was she joined a company called Oriflame, a multinational sales organization, a cosmetics sales organization. And she built her network and started selling cosmetics. Not only did she achieve her financial goals through this new line of work, but she also got an all expense paid trip to Sweden in recognition of her sales effort. The significance of this is that my mother is a career banker who has not sold anything in her life before this engagement. In another instance, I remember my mother and a group of friends organizing medical camps in regional and rural Sri Lanka. I remember my mother had to liaise with GPs, find medication, find donors and sponsorships to ensure that these were a success. And also on the day of these medical camps, doing crowd controlling, various administrative duties and other miscellaneous stuff to ensure that these events ran smoothly. I firmly believe that my mother is the embodiment of the saying, the good don't finish last. She demonstrated to me from a very young age and even up till now that you can have a hustle that doesn't compromise on your ethics and values. Through her actions, my mother taught me to be passionate about the causes I believe in and the tasks that I do. And I know that my competitive nature comes from her. Also, more importantly, I also believe that good people don't come last. Lesson number 5, be humble. My mother introduced me to volunteering at a very young age. I think I might have been about 8 years old when she took me to charity events and various religious ceremonies. She not only taught me to be humble, but she demonstrated this through her activities. At these events, she would clean the premises and collect the garbage, which are not necessarily tasks that everyone would volunteer to. And the most important part of it was I observed that she did these with a deep sense of humility. And naturally, I would also assist her in these tasks, and they kept me well grounded, but also gave me an appreciation for the true joy of being humble and serving others. So those are the 5 lessons that I wanted to share with you. And these lessons have molded me to the person who I am. Because you watched this video till the end, I thought I'll leave you with one extra lesson or one more additional lesson. And this is a lesson in progress, at least for me. Lesson number 6, people who do things make mistakes. My mother is an action-oriented doer. She'll spring into action and she'll do things not necessarily without any planning, but with less planning. And this is the complete opposite of me. I would like to plan a little bit more. I'm also a sort of perfectionist as well. Of course, through the years, through maturity and practical realities, I've realized to balance, or I've come to the realization that you have to balance perfectionism with practicality. This is a lesson that I'm still learning, because as they say, good decisions come from experience, and experience that comes from mistakes. My mother and I work well together, and we do quite a bit of projects and operational tasks as well. And when we click, It's beautiful zen and synergy. But when we don't, that's quite interesting space as well. So those are 5.5 lessons my mother taught me, and I hope you found some of it interesting or inspiring, perhaps. And I've also reflected on how I can maybe carry some of those forward and impact other people's lives as well if I can through those teachings and lessons. All right, that's all from me. I'll see you in another video.